The other 75% of this podcast is dealing with dreary snow and cold. And, and Russ is like, kids are going to be outside again.
Yeah. They got to touch grass so hard.
Homemade films. Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
First of all, bad news, right? Like you talked about bad news, Bill. And one of the things...
That's what they call me.
Bad news, Bill. I like it. That's the new name.
Oh, no. That's terrible.
It's going to stick so hard.
Happy New Year, NerdNest. We are back. It's the first episode of 2026, and we've got the whole crew together. Carrie has returned from the dungeon. How you doing, Carrie?
Oh,
That good.
Say more. It's a podcast. I don't know if you're aware.
So yeah, it's been super busy for me for all of December. I'm still trying to wrangle everything together and trying to just find some space to actually do videos on. So I've been a little bit behind on stuff. So that's where I am mostly. My 2026 is not going so great so far, and I don't think 2026 is going to be awesome.
Why do you do this to us? Do not curse us.
I've never wanted him to be more wrong in my life. So there's that. Rich, yes. Are you going to survive Carrie's curse?
That's what I'm worried about. Carrie's curse is strong, right? Like once he curses, we are all doomed. So you need to stop Carrie. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. Happy to have the cast back, and we're recording at a new hour, and it feels like NerdNest after dark, and I'm here for that.
Yes,
so, ready for a good time.
You can't tell by looking at it, but it's nighttime right now. Well, except for Russ because he lives in paradise, but it's nighttime for everybody else. But our studios basically look the same. Russ, what time is it there?
It's 2:30. Yeah, 2:30 here. So it's funny. We usually record in mornings, my time, and so it's like the sun is hot right now. Like I'm kind of sweating right now, which is probably the opposite of the rest of the United States, But it's funny. It's a good midday break to do this. Usually I do it first thing, So yeah, I'm happy to be here. I was looking at your fireplace in the background, your TV running this fire thing. Mm-hmm. We have a family tradition. Well, I have a family tradition my kids hate, but I play Darth Vader burning in Return of the Jedi as a Yule log. Like every time we're unwrapping presents, like that's what I put on the TV, So you made me.
I love that.
The kids hate it. They loved it at first, and now they hate it. So
now they're over it.
Story of my life.
Yeah,
they're like teens, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have. This is like a 12-hour video or whatever. It just loops this fire burning or whatever. And this is the one that we played during Christmas. Was this one with like. It's just the video. There's fire crackling, but there's no audio. So you had to I had to use our Google whatevers to play Christmas music while we were playing. But that was last year. That was in the past. It's time to move on and talk about the future. When. And unfortunately, I think Carrie's curse is affecting prices everywhere because that's what that's the beginning of what we're talking about today. We've got a bunch more price hikes, and there's rumors that we might not even see the next gen consoles because it's just too damn expensive to make them. And that makes me think, well, what the hell is Valve going to do? Because they announced this, and right after they announced it, prices for RAM just went through the roof. And I imagine that they're sitting there wondering, what do we do, guys? Do we delay this? Do we launch this? Do we just wait? What do you guys, Rick, Carrie, I haven't heard from you in a hot minute. So what do you think, man? Do you think that Valve goes through and pushes the Steam machine out early 2026 like they announced? Or you do?
Yeah, they have to. Basically, they're just between a rock and a hard place, and there's no recourse for the rest of 2026. As far as I'm aware, Micron has contracts that are fulfilled until the end of 2026. So effectively, they are sold out until the end of 2026. 2027, as far as I'm aware, is open, which would mean that Xbox and PlayStation those GDDR6, but like they also like HBM and stuff. But like effectively, 2027 has availability, which means that consoles could still be coming out, but there's going to have to be some like wiggle room of whatever's going to go. There's a lot of things that are happening right now, and it's uncertain for a lot of different things. The timing of when they're releasing is one of the most unfortunate times, I personally feel, outside of the whole DRAM NAND situation. But I cannot see them delaying, because the specs on the Steam machine are such that it is in the same league as a PS5 and an Xbox Series X, and they need to price it as such, and they're going to have to eat whatever. I know that there's already been said like, oh, we're going to price it as whatever, but then it doesn't really make much sense to me, and I think they're just going to have to, just accept what is going on. The Steam frame has to come out, and Steam Controller 2 needs to come out, and the Steam machine, if it does not come out now, next year when the next gen consoles are coming out, it's going to look even less attractive. So
assuming that the next gen consoles come in the following year, right? Like
so you're all right? Like, so like when I say 2027, this would be Q4 2027. You know what I mean? Like that's when it would come out. It would be September, October of 2027. So that's a long way away for anything to be happening. But there are going to be Sony, and I do think that 2027, these consoles are going to be coming out. I don't think it's going to slip into 2028 myself. I don't see that. I don't see it slipping out. The memory contracts, from what I've seen, at least from Micron, and I would assume for most other things, 2027 is open so that they can still get orders fulfilled and stuff lined up, especially for a large vendor like themselves. So I see that not being a problem for 2027, especially late 2027. So you figure Q2, they can start getting stuff in and start building and fulfill, start getting stuff in inventory. So that's a year away. But this year, even outside of the DRAM thing and all things sold out, is like you have a lot of the pressures that are building in a lot of different areas, a lot of externalities just on the economy and whatever, that there's a lot of things going on in 2026. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that I think it's the right move to go as soon as possible and not delay. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, okay, let's wait until things get better, then we'll release something, because things never seem to get better. And so it seems like it's just better to just do it as soon as possible. And it's a good gap right now where the consoles aren't coming anytime soon. And so it gives people time to have the Steam machine come out, get used to the idea of a Steam machine, watch it mature. And then by the time the consoles come out, it might actually be part of that conversation. Like, why would I get a PS6 or an Xbox 12 or whatever if I can get a Steam machine for less or the same price?
Yeah. First off, I love that you were like, it never seems to get better. I seem to remember there was an episode of the podcast, I'm going to say like 3 or 4 months ago, where you joked, Russ, that we should just rename the show Everything Just Keeps Getting Worse, or Everything is Just Bad All the Time, because it was just so much bad news had happened on that particular stretch of time that we kept like talking about. But when you look at the idea, to talk to what Carrie was saying, when you look at the idea of availability coming later on in the year, in 2027, well, for them to ship those things in late 2027, they have to have already bought that RAM now, I would assume. And so I think it's possible that they'll launch when they planned on launching, although there's an article that we'll talk about in a little bit that Rich threw in the show notes that maybe says that they won't. But then they're going to hit a wall. They're going to run out of stuff, and then all the supply is going to dry up, and you're not going to be able to get one in stores. What do you think about that, Rich?
Yeah, so I have a number of thoughts. I was taking some notes as you guys were talking, and one of the first things, first of all, bad news, right? Like you talked about bad news, Bill, and one of the things
that's what they call me.
Bad news, Bill. I like it. That's the new name.
Oh no, that's terrible.
It's gonna stick so hard. But yeah, so bad. There's so much bad news. You're right, but there's a bit of a K curve happening in a different way. Right, where like there's a lot of bad news at the top end, and not I'm not going to say good news, but like we had the hot take post that you did on NerdNest, and half of the posts were about RAM prices and how bad things are. And then I saw a good vocal minority talking about like how gaming has never been better. Right. And honestly, yeah, gaming has never been better. Right. Like tech is in a bad place in a way, or not in a way, just, point blank period. But gaming is going really well right now. At least I think so. But back to the point at hand, right? Like Steam Machine, I think what my gut feeling is certainly that, yeah, they're going to stick to the early 2026 release. But my gut feeling is that they would rather do a limited number of units and then like revisit this again when, maybe there's a better time for hardware, but do like a limited number of whatever they have already. I think they'd rather do that than like sell this thing at a price point that is more like commensurate with modern ROM prices, right? Like I think they'd try to sell it at the price point that they were targeting initially, whatever they didn't tell us what that was, but something closer to what they were targeting initially, rather than try to like mass market this and sell whatever the high end could be, and adjust that price for that. I just don't think they would bring it to a really high price, something that's again commensurate with modern RAM prices.
Yeah, one thing that I'm thinking is because they aren't selling them in stores, which is something I've said 1,000 times that they need to do, this is something that actually helps them, because then there's no markup by the brick and mortar stores. That if they do sell them in brick and mortar stores, they have to raise the price in order for the brick and mortar stores to be able to be willing to give up shelf space for the Steam Machine or the Steam Deck or whatever. So that's like one advantage that Valve has. And then the other advantage that they have is that it's not a console. Yes, it feels like a console, and it's a very console-like PC experience. But because it's not a console, it doesn't matter how many they sell. They don't have to. It doesn't have to have wide adoption in order for it to be a success for Valve, for multiple reasons. Number one, it's just playing PC games, so those games already are out there, and it just plays the games that already exist. It's not starting from square one like a console would. But number two, because it doesn't matter how many that they really sell, they're gonna say, okay, well, they're sold out. Sorry, we'll get them back as soon as we can. And maybe I think that it might be time that they raise the price. Like they kind of, I'm using air quotes for the audio listeners, they raised the price of the Steam Deck recently by ditching the cheapest one. They got rid of that cheapest one, and they kept the other ones at the same level.
So there is this like specter of Half-Life 3 coming soon as well, which is also a reason why I don't think that they're going to not do it. So ultimately, I feel like that's the case. But I mean, there's a lot that's going on, and I'm really fascinated on the FSR 4 side of things, of what they're going to be able to do with the RDNA 3 side of the GPU and how they're going to leverage that. So there is like markers of stuff that they're showing that they have a pathway to get that done, to amplify its abilities in a number of different ways. So I'm curious about how that's going to pan out. But there are a number of limitations on the device, and it really comes down to if they are using Hawk Point 2, they are limited to 4x PCIe lanes. That will hamper and really put a damper on any games where people try to like max out some things, especially when games are now coming with ray tracing on and you can't disable them. So you're going to be in a realm in there where you're only going to be able to play those games at 1080p 30, 1440p 30 with some type of thing, or maybe 4K, it's kind of 30, and that's kind of cool. But like this is where,
can I ask a question about that real quick?
Yeah.
Because you made a video, and everybody should go watch that video, but you made a video where you built what you said was an analog to the Steam machine, and I can't remember off the top of my head, how did games like Doom, which requires ray tracing, how did that FPS. Run on that?
Yeah, 30 FPS.
30. Okay, thank you. Yeah. All right, go ahead with what you were saying.
Anything with ray tracing and stuff is going to really so every new game that's coming out, when you have ray tracing and stuff on there, that's going to start, feeling like the Steam Deck already does, right? So you're already in this realm of like, well, crap, I'm hoping for something better here. So this is really, once the reviews start coming out and people start getting a textural feel of like what the capabilities are, there's going to be a whole swath of games. Like I showed God of War Ragnarok at 4K 60, and that technically is possible, especially when you do like FSR 4 and all the other stuff. There's going to be some really cool stuff. But then when you start looking at, Doom the Dark Ages, Indiana Jones, all these other games that have ray tracing already baked in and can't disable it, then it's going to be like, oh crap, we're already here. So this is where I constantly come back to my original price problem, and I think that they're just going to. Also, I don't think Valve is going to be impacted as much, like you had said, Bill, because they are not going to sell bazillions of these. They're going to sell millions. And I feel like that they can find an avenue, because the prices on these aren't in the stratosphere. So there's somewhere where they're going to be able to find a way. So I don't know, 500, 600, I still think is end in 2023. I still think I'm pretty confident in that.
2026.
Yeah, same time frame.
You time traveled like 3 years, Carrie. You said 2023.
Oh, sorry.
I was just heading the comments off at the past.
Why did I say 2023?
I don't know, but then I said head the comments off at the past as if that's a thing that you say, but it also makes sense because, like, I said it by accident.
No, yeah. I'm trying to like go through the Rolodex in my head of like where. I apologize. Yeah, 2026. That's exactly what I said.
Nicely done.
Nicely, yeah. Predicted it. Okay, so let's talk about the RAM price increases that could delay the hardware that's coming from the big guys. And I know that Valve is big, but they're not the big guys when it comes to hardware sales. Rich, you threw this into the show notes. You want to talk about it a little bit?
So I threw, I think, 2 of them into the show notes, both the Insider Gaming and the ASUS. Should I go with
the Insider Gaming? Oh, yeah. I threw the ASUS one in too. Oh, that's in there twice.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Yes. So the Insider Gaming one so this goes back to, Carrie, what you were saying. This is Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming reporting that perhaps the situation around RAM pricing is leading console manufacturers to delay from their intended 2027-2028 release window. It says with the hope that RAM manufacturers will be able to build out their infrastructure to produce more RAM, thereby allowing prices to drop. I know there's another story about like ASUS jumping into the RAM game, but I didn't really read into that too much, so I didn't want to like add that to the show notes. But yeah, I guess, hoping for this to settle a bit, and that perhaps meaning that PS6 and whatever, Magnus is the next generation Xbox would, we were anticipating that they would be released Q4 27, but maybe they're considering delaying that. And that seems realistic to me. It's something that I mentioned, I think, in a previous episode. But yeah, Carrie, go ahead, Bill. What do you think about that?
Well, just real quick, I wanted to say this kind of lends credence to what Larian has said about the need for them to optimize Divinity much sooner than they otherwise would want to, because they just know that people aren't going to have PCs that are strong enough to run this game. And now consoles, because they put games out on consoles too, like Baldur's Gate 3 was on, I think, everything, except for Nintendo Switch. But like, if people are still going to be on PS5 and Xbox Series X, then they're not going to be able to do what they want with Divinity, so they have to optimize. And I think that they might be a canary in the coal mine. Maybe all of the other publishers are going to have to do the same thing, because nobody is going to have the hardware to run these games when the games come out, because it takes so long to make a game. They're anticipating that by the time they finish the game, that the most common graphics card or the thing that people have in the living rooms is way more powerful than it's going to be, because people can't afford to buy the stuff.
So I think PlayStation, Sony finds themselves in a far more favorable position to delay a PlayStation 6 and the PlayStation 6 handheld, because they already have a fantastic install base for this tier of console generation, which has only started to really start to ramp up, and now we're starting to stress the current hardware. But they have a PS5 Pro, they have the PS5, so there's a lot of things there that Sony doesn't necessarily they could okay, let's weather this out a little bit more. And for Microsoft, and also Microsoft's ability to leverage their own giganticness to let's go up to Micron or whoever and be we're actually going to buy this. Now, I actually did read a report that Microsoft stormed out of Micron. There was a meeting where Microsoft's we need this, and they were go pound salt, and Microsoft's stormed out of the room and kicked it open. So there's a report like that where,
do you know, sorry to interrupt, but do you know if that report was about Microsoft proper or Xbox? Was that something?
No, it's just Microsoft, Microsoft. So data centers and other stuff. But I mean, there's stuff that Microsoft is giganto, and they are also in the AI arms race outside of consoles. So there is that whole sphere of, they're, a giganto $1 trillion company. So they have capabilities that are larger than the other guys. The other thing is that the next generation Xbox console is supposed to be have more RAM, right? So just the RAM side of that is also a bigger problem for them. ASUS getting into the game, which I did hear, is interesting, especially if we go into the idea that ASUS has already started going into a deeper relationship with Microsoft, especially with the Xbox Ally, Xbox Ally X, and the ability for third-party companies making Xbox consoles. So if ASUS was going to get into the DRAM game, and they're also going to be producing an ASUS Xbox, there's other avenues there that I don't know. There's interesting, and I don't know anything. This is complete speculation on my end, right? All the things that we've heard and read. How many pathways could they go to succeed in this area? For Microsoft, they can basically detach from Xbox Series far easier because they're not doing good, right? So for them to be hey, Sony, you don't want to go on 2027 because PlayStation's awesome. That's great for you. For us, we actually want to come out as soon as possible. So I still see late 2027 as a possibility for Microsoft in a lot of different areas, and that whole hybrid thing of however that's going to happen. It's going to be interesting to see which way it happens one way or the other. But the other thing that I think is kind of doom and gloomy, and how could you possibly predict it? But it's palpable and it's feeling in the air, is the reality that there is a reality where this whole thing just kind of crumbles, right? All of the things that are propping up a lot of things with AI start to just detach and crumble. So now you have all these companies that were going into DRAM and all this other stuff that just vanish. So the supply constraints of, hey, we need more of this, they no longer have the capital to do so. So now there's windows of opportunity where other companies oh, you actually do need to sell RAM. So there is a possibility maybe in quarter 3, 2026, where we see RAM just poof, hey, we got some availability. So there's the dark horse of that specter happening. So there's lots of things that can happen still.
Awesome. Russ, any thoughts on this before we move on?
As Carrie was kind of talking about this, I kind of thought of a best case scenario. And that was so what happens if the collective world says, you know what, we don't need AI slop. So we're no longer going to fund these places that allow you to make your kitten riding on a unicorn video to put on TikTok, right? And so then all of a sudden
optimism.
And then people are so upset about it, all the kids, right? And they're oh my gosh, I can't make this video anymore. I have to make my own video of this now. And it's a creative boom for society. And all of a sudden people are making their own videos of kittens riding on unicorns. And it's like, 8mm film and all this stuff. And it's just like humanity rises to another level. That's the best case scenario. So I just wanted to add that in there.
I just love the optimism. It must be the sunny weather. Like,
yeah, must be.
The other 75% of this podcast is dealing with dreary snow and cold. And, and Russ is like, kids are going to be outside again.
Yeah, they got to touch grass so hard.
Homemade films. Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
That's awesome. All right. Well, you know what? You guys brought up ASUS, and we said we didn't want to talk about ASUS getting into the RAM business, but they said that they have some, like, we're going to find out by the time Russ gets back from CES. They have some news about price hikes. They put out this letter, which was translated by videocards.com. I found it over on Steam Deck HQ. I'm not going to read the whole letter, but it says, I'm going to read one paragraph. It says, after carefully reviewing market conditions, supply stability, and our commitments to product quality, and while continuing to invest in technical R&D, ASUS plans to implement strategic price adjustments for certain product combinations starting in January 5th. We're recording this on January 2nd. By the time you guys see that, I think that this will have already happened. They said the adjustment is a necessary decision after absorbing and responding to cost pressure over an extended period. So basically what they're saying is the prices have gone up and we have not raised our prices in response to that. We've been eating that, but we can't eat it anymore. So we're going to have to pass that cost increase on to you. And I mean, that's talking about we don't know what products they're going to raise the prices on, but I'm assuming all of them. And like, I'm looking here at the $1,000 Xbox Ally X. How much do you think this puppy's going to cost on January 5th? Anybody have any predictions? Carrie, you got a prediction for that?
So I already felt like the Xbox Ally X was already 10% over what they wanted to charge for it. I really felt like they were really trying for 900 and they settled on 1,000. I don't feel like they will change the price on the Xbox Ally X at all, but I do think that some of the newer products will, especially because there's a lot of inventory of the Xbox Ally X, a lot of inventory. There's inventory of the Xbox Ally X already delivered. So there's already like a sunk cost of what they already have in inventory. So I don't expect that to be. I just feel like all of the newer stuff, and especially all of like the refresh stuff from AMD that's not very exciting, that stuff is just going to be like super expensive.
Yeah, like the what's the thing that you have, Russ? The eGPU?
The XG Mobile. Yeah. I still haven't done my video on it. I'm still messing around with it. And yeah, it's expensive already. And so seeing a letter like this, I'm just like, holy smokes. It's not like ASUS is known for like budget price to anything, right? And so this is painful. It also leads me to think that, is Lenovo and MSI and all these other folks going to do the same thing? They just haven't put out a letter in Chinese that we've translated. Like, is this all coming from everybody? I don't know. It's kind of crazy. And we'll see how next week goes.
I would have to think so, right? Like, I think that these companies are the ones that are most sensitive, right? Like they feel it the soonest immediately afterwards, right? Both because of like having yearly generation cycles. So like whatever new product they announce is going to be immediately affected by it. But also because of the fact that they don't have like these tremendous margins. At least I don't assume that they do that. Say console manufacturers might have, not that console manufacturers have on the hardware, but just by virtue of the cushion that they have of the 30%, store fee or whatever. So, I think that these companies just feel it so much that like, yeah, of course they're going to be the ones that are adjusting pretty quickly, I'd imagine.
I also think that they feel it sooner because when Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo, when console manufacturers make a console, it's more expensive for them to manufacture at the beginning. than it is closer to the end. But when you're talking about ASUS and Lenovo and stuff, because as you mentioned, Rich, they're constantly putting out new products. They never get a chance to streamline their manufacturing process, which is something that happens over time through, like PlayStation and Xbox. It just continually gets cheaper to remake. That's why Sony keeps putting out the PS whatever Lite or the PS this, that. And it's like, it's not because it's actually an improvement or whatever. It's because they found a way to make it cheaper. And these companies don't do that because they're always going for that bigger number better. Their life cycle of their products is much, much shorter.
Yeah, I mean, this will be my fourth CES in a row here that I'm going to. I'm leaving in 2 days for it. And yeah, I'm already anticipating I'm going to be walking into these booths, MSI or whatever. I say booth, but it's like this huge room, right? And they'll have the lineup of all their laptops and all their new latest whatever. And it's going to feel to me more and more so like that movie Elysium. Did you guys ever see that one with Matt Damon, where he's like got that robot suit and he's like, he needs to get his, like, there's two social stratifications. There's like people who literally live in the planet below, and there's people who live like in the sky above. Oh, yeah, right? I did see the rich people who have all the health stuff, and then all the people who don't, and it's, obviously an allegory for life and whatever, but that's what it's going to feel like. I'm going to be like, oh, we're up here in the Elysium stuff. Look at this latest laptop with these beautiful, like, new metal shell that they're using or whatever and stuff. And I'm like, cool. Is this going to help me buy groceries this year? Like, how is this going to work? And so like that's what I'm feeling like. Of all the years, like I always get excited about seeing the new stuff, right? But there's already a thing in the back of my mind is like, okay, but who is this for? Because it's not for me at this point, and so that'll be very interesting because they have this annual cycle and they're always coming out with the new stuff. You're right that that older stuff will sometimes be on clearance and you can maybe pick it up, but they don't have that longer life cycle like a console used to have.
Yeah. All right. We have like 3 or 4 more news stories. I'm going to say let's just pick one, and then we'll go on to the NerdNest Awards. Does anybody have a preference as to which news story we want to hit? We have PS5 ROM keys have been leaked. We have Mr. Harada has left the Tekken series. We have River City Ransom is getting delisted from stores. And there's a bunch of anniversaries happening this year. Anybody have a preference?
I'd like to hear more about the River City Ransom. I bought it last night for $3 after you guys had posted about it. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, and I don't have any information. I just saw that it was, going to be delisted and that it's on sale now. So I posted in the channel so you guys could buy it. I have it in my cart, so I'll buy it as well. But another game being delisted here. Thankfully, it is on sale for like $3, so really, really affordable. I think it is Steam Deck playable. And this was released in 2017. And it is a full-on successor to the original River City Ransom. In this case, who makes it? That's a great question.
Atlas Creative is what it says. And that's the only game they have listed in their storefront. It's worth noting it is official. Like it says, this is the official follow-up to it. And it's also worth noting that if you go on the Steam page, like the videos and images you see usually when you show up on a game, they're not there anymore. And so I actually don't know what this game looks like. I haven't really Googled it that far. I just saw that it was $3 and I was like, all right, I'll grab it. It's usually 20 apparently. And so you can't actually see what the game is like if you go to the Steam store for the game. But that's where you can buy it. And they did say it will still be fully downloadable and playable after it's delisted.
Yeah, and they said expiration of a licensing agreement. This also reminded me of something we've been talking about recently, which was another reason I like it's sensitive to me is Marvel, right? Marvel Cosmic Invasion being $30 and Terminator 2D being $30. And these are both like 2D side-scrolling action platformer games. And, the $30 price tag is steep for these sort of games, but obviously the licensing cost here is just very, very high. And in the case of Terminator in particular, they licensed like music from the movies. And so that Bad to the Bone.
Guns N' Roses?
No, country song and Bad to the Bone is in the game.
Bad that's to the
insane. Bone. Yeah.
I have not gotten to that because Russ got that for me for Christmas. Thank you, buddy. I have not gotten to the bar yet. Right now, I'm playing as Sarah Connor, running around shooting stuff.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like it also makes me wonder like how low those two games will go before, like what will be their historical low by the time they are inevitably delisted, because there's no question I think in my mind that they will be one day delisted from Steam.
Yeah, well, make like $3.
$3 carry?
90% off.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
that'd be great.
These things go on sale all the time anyway. You know,
Yeah.
like
right,
Steam
like
sales are crazy.
The final hurrah, because they also did that. There's also another set of games that will also got delisted, but they were like Transformers.
Yeah, I remember that.
What was the girl's name?
Korra, Legend of Korra?
No, sorry. This is like this game's out. She's a real person, and she had, I don't know, curly hair. Her name is kind of silly.
Annie.
Doesn't matter. Anyway, it's a game that I don't think any one of us are interested in, and none of the audience is interested in it. It's a teenage girl type of game. And I don't think anyone cares about it. The only reason I was going to buy it was like it was massively discounted, and it's going to be delisted. I was like, I'm not going to get that. And then there's like, it looked like a pretty good game. It was like a racing game with pickup trucks. Anyway, they were on sale, and then because they started getting a lot of sales, they kind of just removed the sale, so everything went back to retail pricing. And I was like, I'm not going to buy this now, but they are still getting delisted as far as I know. So there's 4 games that all had licensed properties to them. Transformers being the bigger one out of the bunch.
How long do you give it before not River City, before Terminator 2D and Marvel Cosmic Invasion gets delisted?
Give it a lot of years. I give it a lot of years. I'd probably say like 5 or 6 years, 7 years.
I wanted to say 7 off the top of my head. That feels like a standard like licensing agreement term.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when like Deadpool came out in like 360 days, then it's like, okay, it's getting delisted, and like, oh crap, has it been that long so far? And it doesn't feel like, so I feel like it's like 5 to 7 years, somewhere around that area.
Interesting. All right. Well, that was a pretty quick story. Anybody want to pick another one before we get to the NerdNest Awards?
I guess I would like to talk about the PS5 Rom Keys. There was a game that is eligible to use it for hacking purposes, and that's that Star Wars game, PS4. It's sold out everywhere. Like, I was like kind of on top of things, but again, because I only have phone access at work, so I was like caught up on the news a little bit late, and I was like already too late for the getting. So a lot of eBay prices are already like $300 and $400.
Yeah, they're as much as a console to buy the game
for the game. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
like if I could, I would go over to my shelf over there. I have like 4 copies of Cubic Ninja for 3DS. Cubic Ninja is the same type of thing where someone found a way to hack a 3DS using Cubic Ninja. You don't need that anymore, but I still got them at the time. And I also got them on discount.
But why 4?
Because I was going to give them to buddies and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the whole ROM key is getting leaked because it's like, that's not a patchable thing. Like, they can't fix it.
Correct. That's as far as I've read, yeah. Yeah,
so
as far as I've read, yes.
The one thing I'm thinking is maybe this is what makes them not delay the PS6. You know what I mean? Like, man.
I don't really. So for me, I don't really feel like this is going to be a gigantic problem.
It's too much of a pain in the ass to do.
Yeah, so I don't feel like it's going to be that big of a problem. I know that there's a lot of people that were saying that this is going to open the way for some type of emulation to happen, and I don't know. I'm not really too sure that PlayStation 5 emulation is all that big of a target when PS4 emulation is still trying to catch up. And a lot of PS5 games are on PC already. So that kind of dilutes the desire to actually go ahead and do it, because what are you going to do it for? Like 2 games?
Astrobot.
You know, that's pretty much Astrobot, Astrobot's Playroom, the VR games, I guess. I don't know how you play it on PC. And then GT7.
Demon's Souls.
Yeah, so 4 games.
Well, GT7 is going to get delayed until the PS6 comes out anyway, so I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. I mean,
both Demon's Souls and Gran Turismo 7 were on the list to be coming to PC, so
right.
As far as we knew, there was already like things done and stuff done. Same for Bloodborne, right? Like Bloodborne, there was everyone talking about that game coming out and swearing up and down that
I will say Bloodborne was never on like that NVIDIA. Was it NVIDIA?
It was GeForce
Now. Yeah, it was never on that list. So there was so much smoke about that in the background that, you know, it's the same lines of like, oh, they're making an Oblivion remaster. They're making an Oblivion remake. And like, you just like, these things were just building up in the background. And it's like, maybe the Bloodborne thing was completely bogus, right? Maybe it was. But there's also a part of me that wonders, like, I don't know, like, what are they doing? And then, you know, maybe they're waiting for that PlayStation launcher for PC before they actually do this. Like, you know what? Let's not do this on Steam. Let's have something that we can have a big bang. Not saying Bloodborne, but at least Gran Turismo 7, Astrobot, they could do some things on the PlayStation Store, launch Demon Souls. So like, hey, this is exclusive on the PlayStation Store. We have these 3 games that haven't been ported to PC yet.
Yeah.
Do you know, people in my comments were telling me how wrong I am, how my video eats like milk about Sony, slowing down with their releases to PC, right? But their reasoning was because Stellar Blade is published by Sony, and that's coming to PC. And the thing about that is, if Sony didn't publish it on PC, someone else would have, right? Like, Sony just probably got like first dibs, but they didn't have to publish it on PC, and Stellar Blade didn't need Sony to bring it to PC.
Oh, I get you. I get what
you
you're saying.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So like anybody could have published it, and Sony is the one that chose to that made the best, you know, deal with I forget the Shift Up. Yeah. The best deal that Shift Up accepted, but like it was going to come to PC regardless. That was not a Sony. Like Sony didn't own that IP.
Right. That makes sense. All right, let's talk about the NerdNest Awards. We did these a little different this year than we did last year. This year, we nominated some, and then I put out a Google form that I said, you guys can just write in whatever the heck you want and tell us what you want. And if it was if a lot of people nominated something that we didn't have nominated, then I added it in. And so now we're going to just argue over which ones that we think are the ones that the group can settle on. And if we can't settle on them, then, you know, maybe we'll have 4 different lists. But
I like their nominations, the audience nominations.
Me too. Yeah. And I highlighted those so that we would know which ones were audience and which ones were us. Because, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I can't remember anything that hasn't happened in the last 15 seconds. So the first category we had was Best New Hardware. The nominations were the AYN Thor, the Radeon RX, and I forget, I think Russ nominated it, but I just changed it to the 9000 series instead of the specific graphics card because that was something that the audience had mentioned. Actually, I think it was Rich, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Rich.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well, you know, we'll just pretend I mixed up their names. There was the Lenovo Legion Go SZ1E SteamOS version, the ROG Flow Z13, the Xbox Ally X, the Trim UI Brick Hammer, and then the audience nomination was the Nintendo Switch 2. When I read that, I almost fell over. I was like, what? Because most of the people who like put things in my comments are like, Nintendo. And then they were like, Best New Hardware. So there you have it.
Just goes to show the comments, the people that comment aren't necessarily, you know, the audience, right? It's
That's
a subset.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. And plus there's people who listen to the podcast and have never like been to YouTube at all. All right. So let's talk about these right there. I have my personal favorite, but I'm going to hold off on it. I don't want to mention my personal favorite yet. Russ, what do you think should win Best New Hardware of the Year out of these nominations?
Gosh, it's really hard because I got like, do I want to take it as Russ or do I want to take it as like the world, you know? So Russ. I think that the AYN Thor is like my favorite new hardware of the year. Like I'm really happy with it, you know, just been really excited. It's really a lot like a lot of other handhelds I've used before, but the 2-screen thing is really neat, you know, a lot of new apps and stuff coming out for it and stuff. But I honestly think the best new hardware of the year, like putting it all together, best, right? The ROG Flow Z13. Like that Strix Halo chip and what it can do and what it means for like non-GPU gaming is just like really interesting for me. And I love that thing. I'm thinking of taking it to CES with me. I've got no reason to bring it, but I'm like, I just want to play with it again, you know? And so that's my choice. The ROG Flow Z13.
What about you, Carrie? You weren't here for the nominations. Did you want to add one in?
No. I'm going to just tag along with Russ. So I'm kind of in agreement with Russ. I don't have an AYN Thor, but I did play with one when I was at an ASUS meeting and someone showed me that it's really cool. It is super cool, and I've seen a lot of people being very enthusiastic about it, really loving it, and I can see why. The price of it is amazing. AYN is often like there is no competition for them outside of Retroid. Same difference, really. But like. That's a really cool thing. But to what Russ is saying, and I want to say like a bigger umbrella, is that I love Strix Halo as a platform, as a thing that AMD is doing and going forward with. It is the Mac M Pro line, right? Like it's like if you think of Strix Point stuff as the M1 regular stuff, Strix Halo is the Pro version, not the Ultra, but just the Pro. And for an APU, like where I'm talking to you guys right now, I actually switched over to the Boss Game Strix Halo mini PC that they had sent me. That's what I'm talking to you guys on now. Actually, I've switched over to that because the 16 full fat Zen 5 cores are monstrous, and like it's been eating through edits, it's been eating through a lot of other things, and
we can feel it on this end.
Yeah, I just really love Strix Halo as a platform. So the Z13 Flow is going to be my choice. Although, like by extension, it's really Strix Halo that is what I love most. And Medusa Halo, which is coming out in 2027, I feel like is going to take that to a whole other level, and I really can't wait for that. But
is Medusa Halo going to be more efficient or more powerful?
Both,
okay.
Like significantly more powerful. Like it will be the difference of like how the Steam Deck was compared to every other handheld was when the Steam Deck came out.
Okay.
It's going to be in that tier of like on a whole other level of greatness.
Wow.
Rich, which one of these is the one that you want to select?
Yeah, I don't really have a dog in this race. To me, Strix Halo makes sense. It feels a bit like the dark horse. Like when I looked at this list, I thought AYN Thor was like NerdNest hardware of the year, right? It just felt like NerdNest. But I haven't touched most of these things, right? I've touched the Xbox LIX, Lenovo Legion Go S, and the Switch 2 effectively. But I'm happy to hear you guys talk about Strix Halo more. So I'm good with that choice.
Well, my favorite is the AYN Thor. That's the one that I would have picked, but I have zero problem with the Flow Z13. I have one too. It's ridiculously powerful. It's a really, really good piece of hardware. And so I think that that's going to be the best new hardware of the year for the NerdNest Awards. Next up, we've got the best old non-2025 hardware of the year. I went through and there were very few audience nominations that did not say Steam Deck OLED, but that was already nominated by us. So I did find a couple, or not a couple, but a small percentage of people that had added in the ROG Ally X. And then we also had the Switch 1 OLED. I think, Russ, you nominated that one.
Yeah, that was me.
Carrie, of these three, which one is your favorite for best old hardware that you might still use today?
I'm going to go with the audience nomination and choose the ROG Ally X. I absolutely love that handheld. So I used it quite a bit, and I find myself often going to using it. I actually like the ROG Ally X in some ways over the Xbox Ally X insofar as just the design of it. I don't think that the Xbox Ally X needed those giganto handles. I think they could have toned that down just a bit. It's not that it's not good. I know a lot of people that love it, so I'm kind of whatever one way or the other, but I just feel like the Xbox Ally X was improving on the original Xbox. The ROG Ally X improved on the ROG Ally in so many ways.
Oh, yeah.
From an engineering standpoint. It's also still the lightest 80 watt hour handheld out there. I don't think anything's lighter than that. So overall, it's like they really min-maxed it all over the place, and I feel like the engineers for it were like, "Oh, okay, let's take the gauntlets off and like let's show everyone what's up." So, especially when you can get it on sale or any deals, I still recommend the ROG LAX. So that's gonna be my choice.
What about you, Rich?
This is a tough one. I love the audience nomination here of ROG LIX. I was really surprised when Russ said Switch One OLED. I think that is a great call. And I had said Steam Deck OLED. So these are just 3 top tier non-2025 hardware of the year. I would give, myself, I'm going to give a slight edge to Steam Deck OLED and say that's my vote here. But I'm happy with any one of these 3.
Yeah, I'm going to say, like, when I look at the Steam Deck OLED, if I have the Steam Deck OLED and the ROG LIX sitting on my desk in front of me, I'm probably going to pick up the Steam Deck OLED for 2 reasons. One, the screen is a billion times better. Not that the ROG LIX screen is a slouch, because it's not. It's a really nice LCD screen. But the Steam Deck OLED screen is just fantastic. 2, it's more comfortable. I like holding the Steam Deck OLED in my hands. It's a much more comfortable device than the ROG LIX. But again, it's close. Like it's really close. But really, the reason that I'm going to reach for it is not because of either of those things. It's because the screen is slightly bigger. I like the screen to be bigger. I'm old. I have old eyes. I want to be able to see what I'm looking at. So I'm going to go with you, Rich, and I'm going to say the Steam Deck OLED. Russ, what do you think, man?
I'm going to go with Steam Deck OLED too. It's interesting. Right around the time the LAX announced or came out, I was like, you know what? This can replace my Steam Deck because that 80 watt hour battery, that was a big deal, and I was like, I'm going to just use this my primary Bazite and all that, But slowly over the course of 2025, I very quietly just started using my Steam Deck OLED more. I didn't make a video about it, but I just it just came back and was my main handheld PC for a lot of this year, mostly because I was playing stuff like Ball Pit and Slots and Daggers. So it's like I didn't need a lot of processing power. I didn't need a long battery. And so, yeah, that's so I'm going to go with Steam Deck OLED. Of note, Carrie, the ROG Ally X with an 80 watt hour battery is 120 grams lighter than the Legion Go S with a 60 watt hour battery, which is pretty interesting because that's the main one I'm using right now because I like that screen even better. But that's pretty amazing. That engineering was really incredible.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job. I still don't know of anything that's like 680 grams that has an 80 watt hour battery. It's like when they were showing it, I was like, this, like a lot of things didn't make any sense to me. It was like, I'm like, where did you do this? What left? And going through all the pieces for what they did, I remain impressed.
And what you said initially, Carrie, cannot be overstated, right? Like ROG Ally X compared to ROG Ally, like that was an incredible improvement. And it's a lot of why I was, let's say, a bit underwhelmed with Xbox Ally X, right? Like it's just the bar was set so high from that improvement from one to the other. ROG Ally X is to ROG Ally pretty much what Steam Deck OLED is to Steam Deck LCD, I'd say.
Let me one correction. It's only 50 gram difference. I'd like did bad math in my head real quick. So it's 50 gram difference. It's still, the Legion Go. It's still really impressive.
Right.
It also makes me think that how impressed would we have been with the Xbox Ally X if they hadn't released the ROG Ally X the previous year? You know what I mean?
Like all the things that they did to improve it. I think that would, that would probably be a bigger difference. But because they didn't, there's a lot of things in there that I think we've also discussed. Like it felt like there was a lot of 11th hour choices being made for the Xbox Ally X, where they're like, handles. That's it. Done. Ship it.
Handles. I like the handles. I think it makes it a lot more comfortable than the ROG Ally X.
It was
all right.
Microsoft. I'll close on this. It was Microsoft being like just themselves, right? Because they were late to the party once again. Because if they had jumped in on ROG Ally X and that was Xbox Ally, man, that would have went so hard.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been insane.
I agree. But the software wasn't ready yet. We had to wait for them to go steal a box of scraps out of Carrie's cave. All right. So, biggest hardware regret. I wish I didn't buy this. The nominees are the Nintendo Switch 2, the Xbox Series Systems. That was an audience nomination. The PlayStation Portal was also an audience nomination. I'm sure that Carrie voted on that one. The Xbox Ally X and the Analog 3D were all things that we nominated. Let's start with Russ this time. Russ, which one of these things do you think gets the biggest regret right now?
I'm going to go with the Switch 2. I think I also nominated the Ally X myself, but it's the Switch 2. Like I bought that. I waited in line for it. I did all that stuff, and a lot of it was to make a video as soon as I could because I thought it would be kind of neat. But I have not been playing it much. I mean, a little bit of Mario Kart, a little bit of Donkey Kong, and a lot of bit of Metroid Prime 4, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, I could have waited another year or two.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here. I hate to nominate to say the Switch 2 because I feel like right now it sucks. But next year, this year now, like later on this year, when more games come out that are only available on that system, it's going to be awesome. Because I feel like the hardware itself is incredibly good hardware. Like Nintendo did a great job building something that feels like the fit and finish of a phone. It doesn't feel plasticky and cheap. It feels premium. And I like that a lot. But I never, ever touched the Switch 2. I bought Metroid Prime 4 and I started playing it. And I was like, nah, I don't love this game. So I put it down and I haven't played it. I haven't touched it in 2 weeks that my Switch 2 has just been sitting there collecting dust. We only have like one dock in this room. My wife also has a Switch 2. And what I've been doing is I just swap them so that like, oh, this one battery's dead. Let's swap them because they just don't get used because there's just not enough games for it. So I'm going to say Switch 2 as well, but with the caveat that next year, I'll bet you it's going to be awesome. Fingers crossed anyway. Carrie?
Switch 2.
Easy.
With no preamble.
that was quick.
Yeah, so the screen truly does bother me on the Switch 2. I can only play the Switch 2 when it's docked. It was the only reason I bought it was for covering it for my channel. If in that sense, I don't regret it as much because I'm glad that I could take a look at the hardware because I love the internal hardware of the Switch 2. Mm-hmm. I genuinely love the internal hardware of the Switch 2. It's just that display bothers me to no end. It constantly catches the peripheral of my eyes whenever I see something. It's not so much where I'm looking directly. It's just what I see on the sides. And then I am forced to look at it and then it's fine. And it's just constantly distracting, which is why I don't even use it on a handheld anymore. I just play docked. Which is honestly better for the system because it can, push more power and then it's more impressive. So I played Donkey Kong entirely docked and I really enjoyed Donkey Kong, but the hardware itself, insofar as the screen, is a big letdown. And with that in mind, when the Switch 2 OLED comes out, I know I'm going to like that a whole bunch more. And that makes me regret the Switch 2 the most, is that I know the OLED is coming and I know I'm going to buy it for the sole purpose of fixing the biggest problem for me. So that is why the Switch 2 is my biggest disappointment for this year.
That's fair.
Well, last year.
Yeah. Instead of just going straight to Switch 2, let me go through all of these other ones real quick and do a process of elimination. So Analog 3D is I nominated that, but it's actually a fantastic piece of hardware from all accounts, right? There are some inaccuracies and things like that. Hopefully it'll get fixed pretty quickly. Sounds like the developer is on it, so that's great. Xbox Ally X, I thought it was a little underwhelming, but it's a fine piece of hardware. I wouldn't call it a regret. PlayStation Portal is awesome. I don't know what you guys are talking about, although I think it is a funny inclusion by the audience, but I think it's awesome and it's only gotten better this year. Xbox Series systems, I completely understand why someone would put that, add that to the list, but I don't have an Xbox Series system. So for me, it is just Nintendo Switch 2. I don't really regret it. Like Russ, like probably all of you guys, right? Like I pretty much just bought it to make a video. Like I was interested, right? But I also just knew I was probably going to make a video on this. And it is disposable income for me, right? I'm not hurting to buy a Switch 2, so sure, I'll buy a Switch 2. But everything you guys said is on point. I don't really think it's great hardware, but like I think a lot of it is great hardware, but the places where it falls short so largely, like with the screen and with not just the screen problems, but also the complaints that people have in that it could have been OLED. I know it would have been pricier, and that's something certainly to consider, but just the fact that we're going to see something 2 years down the line that's going to have better battery life, a bigger screen, a nicer screen. So like, yeah, it will be great 1 year from now.
Mm-hmm.
You could have waited, right? Like not you specifically, Bill, or anyone, right, but just anyone that may have bought it at launch could have waited. I'm certainly not. I played some Mario Kart World. I can't wait to play DK Bonanza. I haven't made time for it. But otherwise I'm not pressed to play any of the games.
Rich, you bring up a good point about the some of the lows of it, so like the sticks for me, like I just can't play it handheld because of those sticks, like, and it kills me that we don't have any replacement sticks that snap in and do the whole thing. And so like Carrie's complaint about the screen, I haven't even noticed because I don't play in handheld mode because of the sticks, and so it may be a problem for me later on, but right now it isn't. And that's a really interesting thing, is that like some of these lows prevent me from experiencing the device the way that they meant you to play it, and so really kind of interesting. But yeah, I agree. It's probably going to be great in a year.
All right, overall favorite gaming accessories that came out this year, controllers, accessories, that kind of thing. Rich nominated the leverless controller. Russ nominated the Genki Energy Pack and Moonbase. I nominated the 8-Bit Do Pro 3. And the audience nominations, I think it was 1 million different nominations. There was nothing that like stood out among the rest of them. Everybody nominated different things. So I didn't add anything in, because if I was going to add one, I'd had to add like 50. And I was like, no, thanks. I'm not doing that. So for these, I'm going to go first because I haven't made any. I've always made everybody else go first. I'm just going to say, I'm struggling with this one. I think I'm going to go with, it is. I think I'm going to go with the leverless controller because I got 2 of them this year. The first one that I got was the Swirl controller, which is this freaking, I made a video about it, but it's this bananas weird controller. The left side is like WASD keyboard buttons. The right side has a bunch of arcade buttons. And then underneath your thumb are these weird little grippy spheres that you tilt around as if they are thumbsticks so that you can play 3D games. That's really cool. But then I was like, I also want to try out a more traditional leverless controller. So I picked up the 8-Bit Do one. My plan was to make a video. I never got around to making a video for it, but I still use it. It's awesome. The 8-Bit Do one's really, really good. And it's so clicky and clacky that when I use it, I'm just like, I just love pushing the buttons. It's such a satisfying sound and feeling.
And Bill, I know you've been playing Terminator, right? So have you tried that with leverless?
No, I haven't. I didn't even think of that. Is it better?
It's better, and it's already great, but I would say it's better with leverless. It's
okay.
So good.
Well, that's going to be my next time I fire up Terminator 2D. That's going to be what I'm going to be using. So there's that. So I'm voting for the leverless controller. Rich, since you jumped in, what are you picking?
So I was going to joke that, and this is probably the most like fanboyish sounding thing I would say, but I was going to joke that like we should go 8-Bit Do Pro 3 because this is probably the last time any controller other than the Steam controller that I will nominate something other than that. But no, I'm going to stick to leverless. It's it's still something that I am completely getting used to. It's not, natural for me. But that's okay. It's just fun. Right. And that's something that controllers aren't really fun anymore. They're perfectly functional and they don't need to be fun. That we've pretty much perfected the controller format. So I'm not suggesting that we need more fun controllers, but just the fact that I have one that oh, this is fun to break out. This is fun to use. It's delightful. So I like the leverless controller. I'm going with that.
Gary, what about you, man?
So I'm going to probably say that since I wasn't involved with the previous one, I want to kind of just add a vote here of a different thing. Insofar as controllers, because all of those, if I had to choose one of them, it would probably be 8BitDo, but the series of 8BitDo stuff that comes out. But other than that, I'm not the biggest person on accessories. Accessories are way down on my list. And the only one that is an accessory that I feel has done more than an accessory is the variety of XR glasses that are out there. And they do offer a thing that has been something that I've often wanted, especially playing games in bed. So you can just be laying down and using a controller, and it's one of the comfiest ways to do it, and it's one of the only ways that it offers that opportunity. So the feature ones are the ones that I often have, and I got the Beast stuff in, which are super awesome. But even the preceding ones that had come out in 2025. So I'm going to choose just XR glasses as a category of, I don't care which brand you're looking at, but XR glasses probably as my favorite accessory of 2025 of what they offer. So I'm going to just go with that.
Yeah, they're very cool. I don't use them very much because I just put them in their case and they sit off to the side. But if I were somebody who commuted to work, in public transport, God, I would use those things all the time. So I can see why. Russ, what are you picking?
My nomination was the Genki stuff, but I'm like Carrie, I'm not married to any of these, but I feel like you kind of hit it with the 8BitDo controller line. You know what I mean? Just everything they did, including the leverless, including the Pro 3, including all that other stuff. I feel like that's kind of my nomination is just kind of what they did, I almost feel like I should have nominated them for Company of the Year too, the best brand of the year, because they did so much good stuff. Between keyboards, mice, controllers, they just kind of had a little bit of everything,
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Among these three,
they didn't say I bought this.
Yeah, same for me. Half the stuff that I reviewed on my channel this year was just because I bought it and I was excited. I was man, I want to talk about this thing. And
I have to agree with you, Russ. Just sorry, real quick, is I feel like just being able to just out loud say 8BitDo as a general approval of you can have faith in well, I haven't tried that, but I know all of 8BitDo stuff is generally solid. So it's I don't know. It's just as an open recommendation. I like the stuff that they do often.
Yeah. So I don't know, between these four, I don't want to say the Pro 3 because that actually wasn't my favorite controller by them this year. I think it was actually the wireless Xbox one, the rare one that was the blue one, but I don't want to nominate that one either. I think let's just go with the leverless controller because I like the idea of just focusing on a controller and a new way of inputting and stuff. And 8BitDo did make one of those as well. And so I haven't personally used one of those before. And so that's, but I can totally see why it's really neat to have a new way of inputting things that resonates with a lot of people, and so yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I do like this wrench we're throwing into best company, so I'm excited to get to that conversation.
Yeah, real quick, Rich, I want you to make a prediction. Do you think Russ would like a leverless controller? Carrie, same question.
I think so. I think, Russ, you would like a leverless controller. I don't think it's going to again change your life or anything, but I think I'm thinking of Force Strike, right? You've been playing Force Strike. I feel like that would be a fun game to play with a leverless. Yeah, I'm saying yes.
I'm the worst person to ask because I am going to project my own thoughts onto this and say no. I don't know. I think Russ would give it the old college try. And then just be well, I don't know. What do you guys think in the comments? Let me know. And that's how I think.
Yes.
That's how I think it would end.
So I guess that leaves me as the tiebreaker. I think Russ would detest a leverless controller.
No.
And here's the reason why. He doesn't like gyro. He does inverted stuff when he plays games. He has that muscle memory thing that every time we bring up stuff like that, he's always like, yeah, I don't like it because when I play games, I like to play games this way. And using a leverless controller forces you to play games in a different way. And I think that he would hate it.
Russ, I want to hear what you think about this. But before you do, I'm curious, do you like arcade sticks in general?
Yeah. I mean, I do like playing with them. I don't think I'm good with them. So I agree with Bill and Carrie. I don't think I will like them. That's why I've never bought one, because, and for all the reasons you guys mentioned, but also I'm left-handed. And I feel like that's going to mess me up in some way, because it's just not, like, that's my dominant hand. And to redo the way I use my dominant hand after only really being able to use an analog stick and a D-pad, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to switch my hands over. Yeah, and so
for the audio listeners, Carrie was holding his hands crisscross like he's trying to shake hands with people on two sides of him.
I've seen people play like that on arcade sticks. Yeah,
yeah. And so that's my point. Is I think because I cannot play keyboard and mouse, like it is so bad for me because my dominant hand is on the keyboard, which is like the worst place to put it. And so, and I'm not going to switch my hands for that either, you know. And so that's why I feel like leverless is probably not a good fit for me. But I am curious to try it.
I just found a left-handed leverless. I'm going to link it to you. I have no idea who this retailer is, just so you know. But
oh my god,
they also have left-handed hammers.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm weird in that, like, you know, once I learn a thing, that's it, you know. So like I learned how to use scissors right-handed, can opener right-handed, you know, even though there are left-handed versions, I can't use those, you know. And so yeah, it's all kind of weird.
I have a quick joke. It's a buddy of mine. He is left-handed, and he told me that in his first grade, this is a thing that has plagued him forever. And I was like, which way do I go, left or right? And he paused for like 5 seconds. And this friend of mine is massively intelligent. So when he paused and could not figure out left or right, I'm like, what in the world is going on? He's like, look, you don't understand. I'm left-handed. And when I was in first grade, my teacher said, it's easy to tell your left hand from your right hand because you write with your right hand. And he writes with his left hand. So for like years, he was like, this is my right hand. And so, yeah, he had to unlearn that. And there's just like deep neural pathways of him thinking his left hand is his right hand. So whenever you have to ask him, he's like, oh, I have to unwind. So, yeah, that's just a quick joke of a teacher just ruining him for years.
So looking at the left-handed leverless, there's no way that would work for me. That's like using the arrow keys to control, you know, like there are some games where you can do that, like Pico 8 and stuff, and it breaks my brain. So I feel like that would actually be worse than trying to just use a regular leverless.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to games. That was all the hardware stuff. Now we're into the games. Our favorite game that we played this year, 2025 or otherwise. So it's a game that we played in 2025, but it doesn't necessarily have to have come out in 2025. The nominations are Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Final Fantasy 16, Hollow Knight Silksong, Expedition 33, Split Fiction, Arc Raiders was an audience nomination, Hades 2 is an audience nomination, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was an extra nomination that I threw in afterwards because I was thinking about, like, I was looking at this list and I was like, how did I not mention that game? Because I loved it so much. And that did come out this year, and I played the shit out of that game. It was so good. So those are the nominations. Carrie, everybody knows what you're going to pick, but I want you to say it anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I absolutely love that game. I played the DLC just a few months ago. No, the third week of November I played it. I played through it, and that was a fantastic DLC. It wasn't too long. Was excellent. I just loved it. And also I still feel like Indiana Jones, because of how like the years go on, because it came out in December, it did not qualify for 2024 Game of the Year. Right. So I still feel like Indiana Jones can qualify for 2025 Game of the Year, and it is my Game of the Year, though honorable mentions to Silksong and honorable mentions to Split Fiction, which I very much enjoyed those as well. But I really loved Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
I'm going to jump in here next. That was going to be my pick. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was going to be my pick. But then everybody always makes a joke because I don't have any hair, but I went to my barber 2 months in because I go to my barber once a month and he trims up my beard so that it doesn't look ridiculous like I just walked out of a mountain off the mountain or something. And the last 2 times for the last 2 months that I talked to him, he will not shut up about Arc Raiders. So a couple like last week, it was on sale for $30. It's a $40 game, but it was on sale for $30 and I bought it and I have not stopped playing it since. It's got its claws in deep. I already have, I think I'm close to 30 hours, which is a lot for me to spend on one game because I don't have a very big attention span. I cannot stop playing this game. Arc Raiders is my favorite game this year. I love it so damn much. And that's surprising because I threw Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you had asked me at the beginning of the year, that would have been my game of the year. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, that one was another one. That was my nomination that I put on there because I love that game so damn much. But Arc Raiders, it's just that gameplay loop of, I can do something in 15 minutes and accomplish something and get a little bit out of it. Whether even if I get killed when I'm out trying to extract some loot, I can still get a little bit out of that 15 minutes. And it's got that gameplay loop that just keeps going. You're just like, I could do one more run. That one ended badly. Somebody snuck up on me and killed me. That's okay. This one, I'm going to do great. And then I go back in there and I try it again. And I usually get killed, but I'm having a blast doing it. So Arc Raiders is mine. Russ, what do you think, man?
Yeah, this is probably my hardest choice out of all of them. And it's funny because it really doesn't matter like what my individual choice is, because they're all so close. But like
it matters to me.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 16 was like, man, such a good experience, and I did enjoy that more than Expedition 33. Like if we're talking about my RPG experience and whatnot. But over the past couple of weeks, I finished Dispatch, and I keep thinking about Dispatch, man. I keep thinking about the choices I made, and I can't wait to play it again and go through each of those episodes one at a time. It's not even on the list,
It is now.
But I feel like, and I'm not sure if it's recency bias or what, but I'm feeling like, man, Dispatch was really good. And it was, I sat down and I'd play an episode. An episode's like an hour each. There's 8 episodes or 6 episodes, 8 episodes. And sometimes I do 2 episodes. And I just looked forward. Like I didn't even make, like there was a days where I was like, I'm supposed to finish this video and I'm not going to. I am going to play Dispatch and everyone else can wait, And that was not happening when I was playing these other games at all. So yeah, I'm going to put Dispatch down. I really enjoyed that. Really lightweight game. It didn't take much from the computer. It's just a beautiful experience. I went and I bought every Telltale game on Steam afterwards, even though I own them on Xbox. I was like, I'm going to buy them on Steam and put them on there because I love that experience so much. I want to do it again, so.
Very
Teach
cool.
them a lesson.
Yeah, this is a funny category because it's very much what we played, and we all played very different things. Like there's some overlap between some of us, but like obviously very different things. So for me, like there is like I haven't really played any of these games other than Split Fiction and Hollow Knight Silksong. And those games are absolutely like my games of the year. And then these other games are games that like I might have played some time with, but just have not spent enough time to have it on my list. But I will say, since I'm the tiebreaker here, man, this is tough. But since I'm the tiebreaker here, I feel like no game has been more NerdNest in 2025 than Indiana Jones, right? Like just listening to you guys talk about it, and just gush over what they've been able to do with that game. That feels like how I have to go as someone that sometimes listens to the podcast, right? I'm going with Indiana Jones.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing that really hit me is a minute ago when Russ said recency bias. And I wonder how much recency bias is influencing my choice for Arc Raiders, because like that's the game I played. I played a round this morning as soon as I woke up. I came in here, I sat down, I did a round, and then I went down and and took a shower. Maybe that's why I'm picking it, because of recency bias. But sure. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle got 2 votes, and nothing else got 2 votes. So I think that's the winner, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And Carrie rejoices. That was the most half-hearted little dance I've ever seen. It's like, yay.
I'm very happy. Yeah. No, I mean, like, I'll take the win.
I was gonna say it's kind of like you're accepting the award. It's like on behalf of.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like all of it. I feel like, for me, like Rich, I feel ultimately that your choice would have been Silksong, generally speaking, out of this list. So I don't think we would have really had like a winner one way or the other. I don't think that there's a bad choice on this list one way or the other. I think they all deserve the recognition that they deserve, and it's truly hard to pick. But for me, Indiana Jones does a lot, and I love Uncharted, right? I love the adventure game aspect. I just love that type of stuff, and I feel like they nailed it in so many different ways, and especially just the Indiana Jones story stuff. But yeah, this was a fantastic year for games.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. All right. Favorite overlooked / hidden gem game. We have Spindle, Slots and Daggers, Half-Life Alyx. Russ selected that one. People are going to say, well, that's not a hidden gem. It's not overlooked. And Russ's reasoning was basically, if you didn't watch last episode, it was, you got to have a VR headset. So not a lot of people get a chance to play that. And that makes perfect sense to me. Sectori. And then an audience nomination was Ball Pit. And my question to you guys, before we keep it on there or delete it, is that overlooked or a hidden gem? Like Ball Pit was everywhere, wasn't it?
Yes, I'm gonna still call it overlooked. Like this is one of those things where like Blueprints, like does Blueprints fit? I still feel like it fits. Like this is, it was everywhere, and I would say that the mainstream is aware of this game, but it doesn't mean that the mainstream has played this game, and I think that's where I would include it.
Fair. Okay. Any other strong feelings on Ball Pit being on the list?
Fair. I just looked it up, and it's got 11,000 reviews on Steam, same as Blueprints, and I think that's not a huge zeitgeist right there. I mean, Slots and Daggers has 3,000 by comparison, but still,
okay.
I would consider that to be, it can be an overlooked or hidden gem game.
Very cool. Okay, so that's on there. Carrie, I'm going to start with you. Of these games, did you get a chance to play any of them?
To be honest, real quick, Carrie, if you have a different game,
yes, please,
because this is a rough one for me.
It is hard. I mean, there's a bunch that. No, I'm gonna say Half-Life Alyx. I'm gonna go with the same reasoning that Russ gave, and I started playing it again myself, and probably because I'm really looking forward to Half-Life 3, or I was looking forward to Half-Life 3, and it is such a good VR game that you almost wish that more people did things in a certain way. And there are, but I feel like VR often gets mistreated. So I'm going to say Half-Life Alyx.
All right. That's fair. Russ, are you sticking with Half-Life Alyx, or have you changed your mind?
No, I mean, among all the games, I definitely probably put most hours into Ball Pit, then Slots and Daggers, but it is Half-Life Alyx, where I just had this moment where I was playing it this year, and I was just like, this is a completely different way of playing games, and it's like transformative. Like, it puts me in this new area. This is what I envisioned the future of gaming to be like, and why aren't more people talking about it? And so that's why I kind of think of it as being like overlooked and hidden gem. Maybe it's just because I'm, 5 years behind everybody else who played it back then, but I still think that more people should be talking about that kind of experience that you can have on Half-Life Alyx. And I feel like with the Steam frame, maybe the conversation's going to come back up, because it is still kind of timeless, and it's really amazing. So yeah, I'm going to put that down as my favorite overlooked hidden gem game because of that experience that I had specifically in 2025.
Russ,
I will say that I'm waiting for the Steam frame so that I can play the damn game. You know what I mean? Yeah. What were you saying, Rich?
Samesies. Russ, would you keep Half-Life Alyx as your favorite overlooked game over Dispatch?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it really was such a crazy experience. Like, there are scary moments in Half-Life Alyx, and I don't do scary moments. I especially would not do scary moments in VR, and I forced myself to go through them. And it was, I'm not kidding here. Like, I was like, holy crap, I'm Alex right now, and I need to get through this moment because I need to save my dad. Like I was like having those because VR is so immersive, And Dispatch was amazing. Dispatch was cool. I can't wait to play that again. But man, there was something about Half-Life Alyx that was just really, really cool for me.
I think it'd be tough to say that Dispatch is overlooked, though. Like I just checked, it has 140,000 reviews.
Yeah, and I looked.
Holy
Half-Life
cow.
Alex has 60,000, so it's actually
that's insane.
It's still a relatively low number.
I thought for sure Dispatch was like at maybe 10,000, 20,000. But yeah,
I think it got
incredible.
a big bump because of what's the guy's name that plays Jesse?
Oh yeah.
Aaron Paul.
Yeah, I think he gave it a big bump because he was at the Game Awards, and people are like, "I love Breaking Bad. I got to see what his acting is like in this." So, I think that gave it a big bump. Rich, we've got 2 for Half-Life Alex. Do you want to go some other direction, or are you going to go with Half-Life Alex?
I don't love a lot of these recommendations. Like I feel like there were so many more overlooked games that I didn't nominate other than Sectori. Man, dude, there's so much. There's Shotgun Cop Man, there's the Drifter, Pigface.
Oh, the Drifter.
Cleared
Yes,
Hot.
the Drifter.
Powerhoof
Games.
I love
Haneda
Girl, games. Hypogia, Blade Chimera, TMNT, Tactical Takedown. So there's a lot of games out there.
The Drifter, yes.
Yes, Drifter.
Change my vote.
Anyway, but I don't necessarily want to nominate any one of those. I think for me, I'm just going to pick a losing vote here, and I'm going to say Sectori. Sectori like blew my mind. Like my goodness, that was a damn good game. And I've only really played the campaign, and I thought that the other modes were just like like add-ons. Like okay, cool. But from what I understand, those other modes are damn good too, right? So like, if you guys remember Geometry Wars 2, Retro Evolved, there's the gates mode where you don't shoot, you just go through gates.
Rip, yep.
So Sectori has that too. And
cool.
I didn't even realize that. So I can't wait to get to that mode. So there's just so much goodness in Sectori, and it's so affordable. I keep forgetting the price, but it's under $20, I want to say. It's a damn good game. So I'm going with Sectori.
So here's what I'm going to do, because I cannot make up my mind between Sectori and Slots and Daggers and Ball Pit and Spindle. I wouldn't pick Half-Life Alex myself because I haven't played very much of it, because the VR experience that I had was bad. Like it was like mismatched hardware. It didn't work very well. But these ones, they're like, Rich got me Spindle for Christmas, and I've been playing that very cool Super Nintendo Zelda Link to the Past style game. Even has like audio cues that remind me of like Breath of the Wild. Like when you get something in Zelda, it goes like da 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 da, and you kind of hear that same tones in Spindle. It's you and this little pig running around. Slots and Daggers, I poured too many hours into. It was so much fun. And Sectori, I feel like I just barely scratched the surface because I got it recently. And then there's Ball Pit, which I played a ton of. And I don't think I can pick between these. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to split the vote, and I'm going to say Sectori. And then I'm going to ask the people who are watching this on YouTube to, be a tiebreaker between Sectori and Half-Life Alex. Let us know what you guys think in the comments down below.
I like that. I just want to add one thing. Just as, because we were looking at like number of reviews, I'll point out Spindle out of this list is punching way above its weight because it's on this list and it only has 229 reviews.
Wow.
So of the games that like people need to probably like consider buying, Spindle is probably the highest on that list.
Spindle is cool. Definitely check it out, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Biggest game regret. I wish I didn't buy this. It's very similar to the hardware version that we did a little bit ago. We've got Metroid Prime 4, Metal Gear Solid Delta, Mario Kart World was an audience nomination. I cannot believe that we didn't nominate that ourselves. And another audience nomination, which I didn't see coming, Game Pass Ultimate. People regret buying Game Pass Ultimate. So of those 4, Carrie, I'm going to let you start us off. Which one do you think gets the biggest game regret? The one that's kind of a bummer or a downer? Have you played all these?
I've only played, I use Game Pass Ultimate all the time, and I like Game Pass Ultimate, so
Fair.
I'm not going to choose that. Mario Kart World, I played it. I don't think it's bad, but it'd be going in the same line of like Switch 2. Metroid 4, I bought, but then Best Buy gave me the old how do you do, and then took it away from me. And Metal Gear Solid Delta, I don't think Metal Gear Solid Delta is something that I would vote for. I would probably, just based on reviews of Metroid Prime 4, I'm glad I did buy Metroid Prime 4, but I bought it for like $36 from Best Buy in 2019. And then Best Buy was like, actually, it's $60. And I said, no. I pre-ordered for $36, and they just would not hear it. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to get it. But then I saw some of the reviews, and I don't really like the open world aspects that they've done. And I've taken a great look at that. And some of the voice acting stuff is an annoyance and stuff that I don't feel adds to the game. There's parts of Metroid Prime 4 that are Metroid Prime, and I haven't played it, so this is not really fair for me to say, but out of this list, I would say that Metroid Prime 4 I had as a big thing that I had extremely high expectations for.
Same.
And I don't feel that it did a good job for the series overall.
Fair. I am the one that nominated Metroid 4, and that's going to be the one that I'm voting for. I was so bored with what I played, and that's why I haven't picked it back up. And that's the problem with it. It's not the bike, it's not the open worldness. It's just I was bored playing it. And I'm really but the thing is I was also like Carrie, I was really hyped for that game. I thought it was going to be freaking, oh my God, we haven't seen a new Metroid Prime game in how many years? Metroid Dread I just played, and it was one of my favorite Metroidvanias that I had played in years. It's so good. I thought that Metroid Prime 4 was going to be one of the best. And I was just like, I'm just kind of bored with it. Maybe it gets better later on in the game. Maybe I need to give it more time, but I'm too busy shooting raiders and arc raiders right now. So maybe I'll revisit it later on. So that's what I'm voting for. Not Rich. Damn it. Son of a Russ.
You could have just kept going.
No, because I definitely wanted to hear from Russ because he just bought it and he's been playing it. So Russ.
Yeah.
What do you think about Metroid Prime 4? Do you regret buying it or are you happy with it?
I don't regret buying it. So I bought the Switch 1 version and then paid the $10 to upgrade it. So I have the cartridge, can play it on my Switch 1. I can dump that cartridge and play it on my other stuff. And then also play it on my Switch 2. And I think that's a good mix. Like I like how that's all set up. The game's fine. It's a Metroid Prime game. It does throw too much at you in terms of like unnecessary complications. The open world aspect, it isn't really that open world when it comes down to it. But then there's just a lot of like, oh, you need this crystal for this thing and then this crystal for this thing. Like there's just a lot of like complications to it that I don't like. I wish there was a sprint button because it feels kind of bad to backtrack and like, oh, this is going to take forever to get through this room, But otherwise, it's a good game for what I want, which is just a 4K shooter that lets me kind of turn my brain off in some ways, And so I don't mind that. So I'm enjoying it. I wouldn't say it's a regret for me. The reason why I put Metal Gear Solid Delta on there was because I kind of regret paying full price for a game that didn't really feel like a full price release, But Mario Kart World is like an excellent nomination, and that's going to be my choice because we got it in the bundle. Sure, $50, like it doesn't hurt that much, but $80 for that game is just insane. And so I'm going to put this on like a potential like hypothetical audience member, someone who paid $80 for it. I feel bad for that guy, like that's terrible. And so that's why I'm going to put it on there because even my kids are like, we don't really like this one. Like we'd rather play Mario Kart 8 on the Switch 1 than play Mario Kart World on Switch 2 when their friends come over.
Do you think there's any world in which Nintendo says, hey, let's do a $10 upgrade fee to Mario Kart 8?
Oh gosh.
Which was originally on the Wii U.
That would be amazing. But no, I don't think they'll do that. I would pay it.
I don't know. That's a free $10.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway.
And everybody who bought Nintendo Switch 2s already bought Mario Kart World. So that's that too.
Yeah.
I will say this before I let Rich go. You just really cemented something for me, Russ. The fact that getting from place to place takes forever in Metroid, like just walking, is so friggin' slow.
Yeah,
you're right. It would be better if Samus just moved faster.
Yeah.
All right, Rich.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna not vote, which is effectively voting for Metroid 4 in this. But I like Mario Kart World. Would certainly, if you paid $80, if I paid $80, I would regret that. But as a $50, like, it's a solid Mario Kart. It's not better than Mario Kart 8 in my opinion, but the Mario Kart series is relatively spotty, right? Like, there's some great games and some pretty solid games, and then some that are not that good. As a Mario Kart World, in that it's probably like, top 5 Mario Kart.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So it's definitely not bad. It's a solid game. It's a solid launch title. There are things I would have liked from it more, but I'm not this super disappointed by it. Game Pass Ultimate is a nice nomination too. But I'm not. I haven't had Game Pass all year, so I can't really say that I regret that. Didn't buy Metal Gear Solid Delta, didn't buy Metroid Prime 4. Funny enough, I posted something in the chat earlier today about someone, I think on Resetera, that said that they really only enjoyed Metroid Prime 1. And I realized that's me, right? Like, I tried Metroid Prime 2 for a couple hours and I bounced off it hard. I tried Metroid Prime 3 for a few, not even a few hours. It was maybe 1 hour, and it was like, okay, cool, I get it. But Metroid Prime 1, I love that game. So I don't know. It's just, yeah.
Do you think it was the controls? Because those the two that you didn't like were the Wii waggle nonsense.
Only one of them was Wii. The Metroid Prime 2 was on GameCube.
Okay. I guess I misremembered.
Obviously, there was a trilogy, so they all had Wii controls eventually. Right. But no, it's just I don't know what it was about 2 that I bounced off of. It just felt very iterative, whereas Prime 1 felt, super novel. Prime 3 felt very action oriented, which is not what I was looking for. Prime 2 still kept a lot of that like search action, like Metroidvania, right? But Prime 3 felt like it dropped a lot of that and was very much favoring just shooting.
Oh, I got to say something about Metroid Prime 4. Somebody in my Discord, they said that they had fought a boss and they scanned the boss, but they died. And then the next time that they went in, they forgot to scan the boss. And then they went through and finished the game. And they were 2 scans short of 100%ing the game. But because they forgot to scan that boss, they can't go back without like starting over. And I'm like, that sucks so much. I mean, I don't care about achievements or something, but if I were somebody who did, that would piss me off.
Yeah, that sucks. That's a bummer.
All right. Back to the list here. We've got news. We still have 4 categories left. We're going to go a little bit faster with these. We have biggest surprise in gaming news. These are releases, delays, acquisitions, etc. We nominated WB and Netflix, Valve Hardware, Saudi Arabia's potential acquisition of EA was an audience nomination, and Silk Song was actually released, was another audience nomination. I think a lot of people thought it would never happen. So of these 4 games, Rich, I'm going to have you start us off. Which one do you think was the biggest surprise?
Those are good audience nominations too.
They really are.
I want to stick with good news. And maybe that's just me being biased here, and maybe I should go to Hawaii and have more of a sunny disposition. But I do want to stick with good news, and I guess I'm going to go with Silk Song. Valve Hardware was less of a surprise to me. I was really excited about it, and I made the case for why it should go in this category in the last episode, but I think Silk Song was even more surprising, at least specifically in this year, and the way it was announced, right, was very surprising. So I'm going with Silk Song.
Yeah. Carrie?
I'm going to go with the WB Netflix acquisition as the bigger surprise for me, because it was like lined up for so long to be Skydance, the old Paramount thing. So that was like what I had heard for like so long. And then Netflix was like, well, actually, we're going to do it. And I was like, whoa, I did not see that coming at all. And so that basically that one for me, I didn't see that one coming at all. And that is probably where I find the most surprise.
And just for the audience that didn't see last episode, we explained the WB Netflix thing. WB owns a bunch of game studios, and if Netflix, if the acquisition does go through, Netflix will then own those game studios, which is why it's on a video game show.
Right. Yeah, I do find it funny because Netflix is like, oh yeah, they make games or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, what? Hold on, no, slow down. You guys got a lot of stuff there that's pretty good.
Right.
Don't mess around. Yeah.
Russ.
Yeah, the WB Netflix was my nomination for those very reasons, that I'm worried that it's going to really mess with Warner Brothers games. Valve Hardware was probably going to be my choice, but then Rich really kind of made a good point about Silksong and like how surprising it was. And I think what you maybe didn't actually say is the price, though, right? The fact that it came in at such a good price too, and that needs to be celebrated. And that was a surprise. And I bought it day one, even though I told myself I'm not even going to touch it till I finished the first one, which is, gosh, years away at this point. But anyway, I did buy it day one. And so, yeah, that's going to be my nomination. I think it's really neat that they came through, right? And they made it super cheap, and it was amazing.
And the game turned out to be really good too.
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
the thing, is that like they did the whole trifecta, and I'm going to vote for the same thing. So whoever not like the audience members that nominated that, great catch. We should have noticed that. Silksong, like if you watched any like Nintendo Direct, Xbox, whatever, PlayStation thing, the PC, whatever, like if you watched any of those announcement shows and you had chat open, it was just nonstop Silksong ? All the time, every single one. And then it finally happened, and we were like, holy cow, Silksong is actually here. And it's like almost like, was it a shadow drop, or was it like the next week or something? I can't remember now.
It was like a week or two before. Yeah.
It's crazy. All right, biggest letdown in gaming news, same concept. I'm sorry, Rich, you can't be positive all the time.
Well, this was especially why I wanted to be positive. This one was
yes.
kind of, yes, yeah.
All right, so we got 4 nominations. Game Pass price hike, Switch 2 announcement, $80 games was an audience nomination, and the Rampocalypse, as somebody in my audience comment section had named it for us. What do you guys think?
I think you could do a countdown of 3, 2, 1, and we would all say the same thing.
Okay, let's do it. Well, okay, I'm going to try to do
it's weird on Riverside
delay.
Yeah,
we're gonna. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Rampocalypse.
Yeah,
You can tell who's closest to me. Oh, okay. Well, there you have it. That's moving on. Best company of the year.
That was easy.
There's nothing else to say there. Best company of the year. We got Valve, Larian, Sega, Bazite. Late nomination, 8-Bit Do, and then audience nomination, Team Cherry. I think this one's going to be tough.
Yeah,
Carrie, you want to start us off? Oh, go ahead, Rich.
Sure. No, go ahead, Rich.
All I want to say is this one is really tough, and at some point, I'm going to argue for an honorable mention. That's it.
Fair.
Yeah.
All right. So if I'll lead again, I'm gonna say Bazite. I really have been very, very happy with Bazite overall, and in many ways, when people ask me about like SteamOS or whatever, I often just tell them to do Bazite, because Bazite has so much that they add on top of it that SteamOS vanilla does not, that people are actually looking for to help assist them get the most out of whatever they're doing across a variety of different hardware. And it still maintains the same spirit that SteamOS does. Now, there's CachyOS that is more of a better Linux desktop thing, but so far as what Bazite has achieved, I feel like there's a lot of other, you had Chimera, you had a bunch of other stuff that was trying to do that, but I feel like ultimately Bazite has delivered. So I'm going to say Bazite.
All right. Rich?
So the reason I'm considering an honorable mention here is you alluded to it in the last episode, Bill. Calling Bazite a company feels a bit weird, but I'm okay with it. So if we're gonna go with Bazite, I'm down for it. I like the late nomination of 8-Bit Do, and I like the audience nomination of Team Cherry. And Team Cherry really feels like, man, they delivered on all accounts just again, pointing to the price, pointing to the response to the like reviews on the bad translation. So they've been knocking it out of the park. They just announced a like DLC or update or something coming soon. So this is a really tough one for me. But if it's not an honorable mention, I'm gonna go with Bazite. I'm going with Carrie.
All right, Russ.
Yeah, I was going to say Valve. If we had our awards show, like the awards 2 weeks ago, I would have said Valve. But the fact that they got rid of that cheap Steam Deck, it kind of just took it down a notch, where I'm just like, I loved that $400 price point. Even if it was just a theoretical price point compared to what people are actually buying, like I loved that they were hitting that line, I'm going to go with Bazite too. And it's not necessarily in contrast to Valve, but in contrast to Microsoft and the overall user experience that you can get there from the small team. Now, obviously, the team is also resting on the laurels of Valve and everything they've done with SteamOS up to this point. But it's such a huge contrast between a $4 trillion company and this team of like hobbyist developers. And I just love that so much. And so, yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, and I'm going to do the same thing as well. Bazite is awesome. If I have hardware that is not running SteamOS, it's running Bazite every single time. Like my main PC rig is running Bazite. It's awesome. And I kind of want to have, like I have another PC over here. I kind of want to install Bazite on it just so I can screw around with Linux, not even for gaming, just so I can try it out and see what it's like. Hopefully I don't have to do that. I could just wait for SteamOS on the Steam machine to come soon, but we'll see. So best company of the year, we nominated Bazite. We'll have to let them know. Or we selected, not nominated. All right. What worst company of the year? We have 4: Microsoft, Analog, Rockstar, and Nintendo was the audience nomination. Hilarious that the Nintendo Switch 2 was the audience nomination for best new hardware, and Nintendo was the worst company of the year. I think that shows a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Dual-mindedness when it comes to Nintendo. They make some really good stuff, but they do some really shitty things. And both things can be true at the same time. And I think that that's very interesting. I'm going to start us off, and I'm going to say, of all of the companies that pissed me off the most this year, I think it was Microsoft. Like the Game Pass price hike, the all of the things that they kept doing that pushed me to install Bazite on every system that I have. The slot pilot, as I like to call their little AI bullshit. They get it from me. So Microsoft is my selection. Carrie, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm gonna join you. Microsoft. I like Microsoft, but I feel like this year was probably their worst year yet insofar as optics, how they communicated, what they're doing. They've just dropped the ball in so many different ways. There's lots of things that Windows 11, the transition of Windows 10 to whatever Windows 11 has become, has been kind of horrendous. The price hike for Game Pass was something that we, anticipated, in that there's externalities to that, but it still sucks. All of the AI stuff that they're doing and kind of like meandering around trying to, almost like Katamari, like just try to roll over whatever they can to just be like, yeah, we're AI, and doing it in weird ways that aren't successful, but still somehow successful. So I'm going to say Microsoft is even though I do enjoy Game Pass, but I also enjoy a lot of the Xbox Game Boys, but I just feel like there's so many things that they're so focused on making money and being a money-driven company that they are selling out everywhere that matters. And they've made promises, so let's see what happens. But I'm joining you, Bill.
Maybe next year they'll be on our best company list.
No, I think 2026. Everything's bad in 2026.
Everything's
have
bad.
To stop. The more you say it, the worse it gets, Carrie. Jesus.
That's too funny. Rich, worst company of the year?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Microsoft. It's funny, Carrie, you mentioned the like hardware price hike. Like that barely even registers at this point, right? Like that.
Forgot.
I completely forgot. Like there's just so much other stuff where Microsoft went wrong this year, and it's been compounding, right? So it's not just this year, but it's reached a boiling point at this point. And again, I said it the last episode, they had a banner year for video games. We selected them for best game of the year with Indiana Jones. So it's not all good, it's not all bad, but like clearly they've like I said, it's hit a boiling point, and what it has led to at this point is it's just been a really bad year for Microsoft. You're right. I don't think it's going to be better I think it'll be better. They won't be one of our favorite companies in 2026, I think. But they have the opportunity to get there within a year or two with some of the stuff that they're doing, with like Windows full screen experience. So like if they keep doing that, great. If they keep making great games, great. But I'm not going back to Game Pass. I'm not personally looking forward to an Xbox hardware, but there are things that Xbox can still do well, and I want to see them do that.
Same. Russ, is it unanimous, or are you going after somebody else?
It's unanimous. But I don't want to call them the worst company of the year. I want to call them the most disappointing company of the year. That's the thing for me.
Okay.
It's like they're supposed to be one of us. They're like fellow nerds, and they just make games, and it's just at least the persona that they've kind of cultivated over the past 20 years or so. And this year has been just last year was just a constant reminder that they are a corporate entity and that their bottom line is their customer, and it's just been really disappointing. There have been some really cool moments. Like, it is so cool to log into GeForce Now and to link it with my Xbox account and my Game Pass Ultimate, and then just be able to like stream these Xbox games, all my achievements and all that stuff. It's a really cool experience. But gosh, that's what, like $50 a month right now to have something like that set up to be able to play it properly. Right. And you're not actually owning any of those games anyway. It's a lot. And not to mention, like, I love that they did the full screen experience, but I don't actually like using it, and so that's just another kind of nail in the coffin for me. I like that they did it, and I feel like Nintendo and Sony could always be on this list as well, but it's Microsoft that just really kind of hurt my heart.
All right, moving on we're going to skip over the games that we played, and we also have a list of games that are our most highly anticipated games of 2026, but we're going to push both of those topics to next week. We'll talk about those on the next episode. But earlier yesterday, I made a post over on my YouTube channel. I was looking for your hot takes. I said, Happy New Year, NerdNest. Tomorrow we're recording the first episode of the podcast in 2026, and we need your hot takes. So leave a comment down below, and we'll talk about whether or not we agree with your hot take. Is it a hot take? Is it a cold take? Is it a lukewarm take? Rich, you went through and categorized some of these. You got some that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier, but there was someone named Hidden Characters who said, I'm 35 and have been gaming since the 90s, and my hot take is that gaming has never been as good as it is right now. And I also alluded to this just with the list of games that came out. Man, each year gets better when it comes to just interesting, weird games that you can play, usually for an affordable price, and this year has been no different. Blueprints kind of came out of nowhere. Absolem, we haven't talked about Absolem in this episode, but that game is so good. Basically, like Streets of Rage 4 meets what am I thinking? Hades, right? Like Streets of Rage 4. Yeah.
I almost nominated it. It's so good.
That's what I mean. It's that good. It should at least be nominated for Overlooked. I looked at it, had like 3,000 reviews. So yeah, great game. And there's just been so many good games. So I'm going to say I'm with that hot take. Gaming has
So that's
never
a cold
better.
take.
It's a cold take.
It's a cold take.
It's
Carrie,
a cold take.
Is it a cold take to say that it's the best? It's a great year in gaming?
No, I'm going to say it's a hot take.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like, everyone, because I'm always doom and gloom, and I'm always like, saying things are negative and stuff. But yeah, it always has been the best year of gaming. Every year has been amazing, and we all don't have the time to play everything that's out. And like, I really want to play Dispatch. I mean, I've talked about Dispatch when it was just, coming up. Dispatch is a game that I'm probably just going to buy and start playing. So yeah, I think that there's just, everything that's come out. I think it's never been better, and that's be my positive part of it. How about that?
So it is a cold take.
Hot take?
Hot takes are take? You don't agree.
Hot take?
I like true false.
Cold take. Yes.
All right. Russ, hot take or cold take for that?
I agree. It's a cold take because, and not just the games that came out this year, but this year, you can play all the games that came out this year and all the games that came out in all the years previous, right? Like preservation wise, I can, how many games can we emulate right now in addition to everything else, right? And so like the 8-year-old me who was playing, Mega Man 2 or whatever on the NES now has so many more things that he can actually play right now. And I think that's just really cool. So yeah, I agree.
Awesome.
Next year will be even better.
Next year will be better because it has to get better. Rich, damn it, Rich. You categorized some more. Do we got another one?
Pick another one. Let's go with. We talked a lot about RAM, and so one of them. This is Daniel Cable 842. He says the AI bubble won't pop, and RAM/SSD prices will forever hurt gaming, making AAA gaming something only the rich can afford as the next gen consoles kick off over $1,000 prices. And that kind of reminds me of the Elysium thing that Russ was talking about.
I think that's a hot take. I don't think that's going to happen. Whether or not the bubble bursts or whatever, I think what will happen is like right now, companies are like, they don't want to make more RAM because they don't want to get stuck with a bunch of RAM that these companies then aren't buying. So they're holding off. But one of two things are either going to happen. Either the bubble will burst or they'll say, you know what? We can make more RAM. Let's just start making more RAM because it's not going to burst. And then prices will come back down. So I think that that's a hot take myself.
Yeah, everything's like cyclical. Like it's like saying that people buying up GPUs because of Bitcoin mining would happen forever. It's just not.
Well, I mean, there's rumors that the 50 series are going to be $5,000 next year.
Oh yeah. Everything's going to be more expensive this coming year. Just like GPUs when they were selling out were super expensive. Everything is like there's going to be a time like the chip shortage that happened in 2021, 2022. Like used cars were going for the same price as new cars.
Oh right.
That's not the case today. But it happens. It happens when there's a crunch on stuff and things even out, and it'll eventually happen. Like AI will continue to be important whether the bubble bursts or not, but how that's all going to play out with RAM, things will stabilize, and we'll see that regardless.
Russ, is it a hot take, or are kids going to be outside again putting their cats on a unicorn and with 8mm film?
Yeah, no, I think that humanity will find a way. Like that's like the optimism in me. Like there are people who were ingenious enough to create video games in the first place, right? Let's just take this thing from scratch and create this whole medium. And we will find a way to still have these fun distractions, and people will innovate. And so we will just adapt to whatever's going on. Sure, RAM's going to be crazy or whatever. We're going to adapt to that. That's just what we do as a species. So I don't think AI is not going to take over this year, at least. It will, but not this year.
Terminator 2D fate right there. It's coming. Rich, did you decide if it's a hot take or a cold take?
I'm dead in the middle. I don't know. And yes, things are cyclical, right? But like this feels like one of those things where like NVIDIA and Microsoft have clearly been pining for like getting you to rent their hardware rather than buy their hardware. And this just feels like a perfect opportunity for them to capitalize on that and push that, let's say, agenda forward. And also, like when you think about it logistically, like one of my own arguments against what I just said is that like I imagine it's much more profitable for NVIDIA to rent their servers to companies than to gamers, right? But the thing that I don't take into account when I say that is they don't happen at the same time usually, right? So like imagine a NVIDIA renting out their servers to companies from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and to gamers from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m., right? Like, and those are the same GPUs, the same, racks that they're renting out to different, entities. So I don't know. I'm going to say a hot take. I do think the prices themselves will stabilize, but are next gen consoles going to be over $1,000? I can't say they won't be. So that's why I'm sort of in the middle here.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there. Real quick, I have one that I wanted to mention, and I can't find it now. I had it in, I scrolled.
What was it about? Okay, you got it.
Well, it was 241 Tuesday 6. Says, hot take. My wife needs to stop listening to Russ for long periods of time when she's in the bathroom. She doesn't even like retro gaming. When I asked about it, she just said she really likes his voice and aura.
I'm convinced this is half funny. Of Russ's audience, not necessarily women, just people that enjoy Russ's voice and like just will play a playlist for the rest of the day or maybe to sleep. Yeah.
I have on the regular, all three of you, I have put your videos on that TV over there while I'm working on something just to have some kind of noise in the background. It's because I'm going to watch one of your videos anyway. And because I'm like, oh, Russ put out this video. Well, I can watch it or listen to it while I, work on whatever it is that I'm working on. So I've done that quite a bit as well.
It's the aura thing that's really interesting to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not
same.
just the voice, the aura. It's like, what does that mean? I don't know.
I don't know what it means.
I'm going to show my wife
like
that comment. She's going to love that. Yeah. That's amazing.
All right. Then there was one other one that I saw that I wanted to... where the heck was it? Oh, this one will be very fast. Check Tech says we don't need analog triggers. Make them clicky. Is that a hot take?
That take is super hot.
That's a Nintendo Switch player right there, I think.
I'll tell you what I want. I want this right here. For the audio listeners, I'm holding up the back of my Lenovo Legion Go S, and you can just barely make it out because of the lighting. Trigger stops. I love trigger stops. You get the best of both worlds. It's so much better than just a digital or just an analog. Carrie, is that a hot take or a cold take?
Yeah, that's a hot take. I really enjoy just the analog triggers, maybe mostly for racing games, but I feel like it often I don't like trigger stop. I don't like a digital R2L2 ever. It just feels alien to me.
Yeah.
So
even in shooters?
thank you. Even in shooters, yeah. I don't like. I just prefer. Like for me, it's the whole action of it is straightforward.
So I will say the way I'm playing Metroid Prime 4 right now is that I'm using the 8BitDo Pro 3, which has trigger stop. So I have left trigger analog, right trigger digital. So I can shoot fast, but then I like the feeling of like pulling on my like scan visor. And so, and your focus aim or whatever they call that. And so, that's been a really good setup for me. And so I do like those trigger stops. It gives me kind of the best of both worlds. Even though there's no analog inputs in that game, I like the feel of the analog trigger on the left side.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the NerdNest podcast, but don't go yet. We got to find out what these guys have been working on. Rich, are you still on vacation?
I've been writing, but I was writing before, so I have a couple of fully written videos. So I just need to make time to record and edit and whatnot. So we'll see how it goes.
Fair enough. Carrie, you working on anything?
Yeah, Veacher sent me their latest XR glasses, the Beasts, and they are the best XR glasses I've used.
That's awesome. How long before that comes out? January 6th.
I'm hoping. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Russ, what about you, man?
So I I've been doing this weird mix of like actually doing family time and then also trying to work and then failing at the work part. And so I haven't really released a lot of videos lately. I did a Ioneo Pocket Vert review a couple days ago. It's a good handheld, but I don't really recommend it just because their shipping has been so terrible lately. And so I never know when people are actually going to get the device. I've been working on the XG mobile video for so long, but I'm still trying to figure out what I want to say about it. And I think I figured it out after listening to you guys today in this podcast. I'm like, all right, now I've got a couple new angles I want to use. But my next videos will be software related. I'm just working on a couple guides and showcases that I'll put out that'll come out while I'm at CES next week. And then I'll do a bunch of CES coverage, I'm assuming, when I get home.
Very cool. I put out 2 videos about controllers, because I like to check out different controllers. I had a bunch of people in the comments being like, why would you bother with these when the Steam controller's coming? And I got to say, there's going to be a lot of people out there that don't want a Steam controller. I want a Steam controller. I'm super excited for the Steam controller. I think the Steam controller is probably going to be my favorite piece of hardware that comes out next year. But there's a lot of people that couldn't give a shit about a trackpad. And that's really what it
I'm all
adds.
about that gyro.
Huh? What's that?
All about the gyro. Like I'm like committed for the new Steam controller 2, Steam controller 2026, whatever you want to call it. Gyro. This is my time to shine.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Are you going to make a video where you say, I only use gyro for this many days or whatever?
I don't know, but I'm going to really put my best foot forward because I know gyro is amazing. I know it. Deep down in my gut, I know it. And now that they have the grip sense for doing gyro, I feel like that's exactly what I need. And that is I'm in lockstep with you, Bill. Like even if I'm not saying the best hardware, but at least best accessory for 2026, I am already like a firm believer. Sight unseen, haven't tested yet, but I just have so much faith that this is going to be it. My time, gyro for 2026. If there's anything that's positive for 2026, it's this.
And we're going to have to go ahead.
I will say it is great, but I don't want you to go in and expect to get the fidelity that you have, that you're used to, right? Because I still don't have that. I'm still training. What I would say to focus on is the fun aspect, right? Like gain the fidelity, but focus on the fun.
So, Rich, as somebody who uses, actually, you don't, because you never used the original Steam controller, right?
No, I did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when you use the original Steam controller, would you recommend to people that they force themselves to use that right trackpad in addition to the gyro on like shooters? Or would you say which one do you feel like you're going to land on more, trackpad or stick?
So I have veered all the way into flick stick territory. So I'm on the stick, but not, not the traditional stick. But if flick stick just feels like a bridge too far, I would say trackpad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carrie, do you think you're going to keep your right thumb on the stick or on the trackpad when you're playing a shooter with a gyro?
I think I'm going to graduate straight to like do flick stick. I feel like that's the path forward for me just because I feel comfortable with stick, but I don't know how comfortable trackpad is going to be. And trackpad, for what it's worth, isn't like it's super nice, right? Like insofar as the textural feel of like what you're doing is like 1-to-1 of what my brain anticipates and feels like what should happen,
like a trackball,
rather than other implementation. Yeah, you know what I mean? Is like, it's like the difference between a Apple touchpad versus like old Windows touchpads. And you're like, why does Apple touchpads just feel right? And that's, I feel like, has been the critical difference for a lot of like thumb trackpad stuff. And Valve is the only one that I feel have ever done it correctly.
Awesome. Well, that's it for this episode of the NerdNest podcast. Thank you so much for listening, watching, whatever it is that you did in order to hear us talk about this stuff. We appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one. Stay rad, everybody.